Well, hey there everybody, welcome back to another video. As you can see, I'll be showing you all how I done the bed of this truck. Very easy techniques. This is my very first attempt on doing this. I'm sure there's many other techniques out there, but I'm just gonna go through the steps that I done myself. Maybe this will help you out. If so, please drop a like down below. I'm gonna show you all the steps that I done, the materials, and everything else. So again, if this helps you out, please drop a like down below. This particular truck right here, I have already showcased this build on my channel. Go ahead and check it out. It'll be linked down below, the Ford Foose. Now let's get to this bed tutorial. Alright guys, so first off, this truck here that I'm going to be working on, I just started, is this 55 Chevrolet by AMT, the Coca-Cola truck. I decided to do the same thing on this with the bed. Now on the Ford Foose that I just showed you, it was a lot easier. What this is, as you see here, there's a lot of parts, a lot of moving things going on here with the parts on how all this fits. So I'm going to go through everything with you guys. Like I said, there's a lot already on YouTube how to do this, but I decided to do my own, and it worked out pretty good for my first try. So very important, materials. There's so many different things that you guys can use: basswood, popsicle sticks, all kinds of stuff. I'm using popsicle sticks only because they're already in strips. You can just sand them down. Now, very important on the popsicle sticks, they're not very clean no matter what you use on popsicle sticks, because they're popsicle sticks. So you're gonna have to get them sized up correctly and take a nice file and sand them down, top, bottom, sides, ends, everywhere, completely. Make sure that when you piece them together, there's no gaps anywhere. You need to have it extremely tight and extremely clean for it to look realistic. Alright, also you can see there's like pieces of knots in the wood. I picked those out on purpose. There are pieces in here that don't have that. They're right over here, some of them. So it's important to kind of texture it up a little bit, so when you go to stain it, all of them will just come through and pop and just look more realistic. So keep that in mind. Now the strips, there's many different ways you could do the strips. You can use bare metal foil, you could use strips, you can use metal strips. What I like to do on my first try is, well, my first try actually, I use the polystyrene strips, the sheets here. Okay, the sheets, like this sheet right here, got it from Hobby Lobby, and I just cut them in strips, which was very tedious to make sure that they're nice and straight. Now this one here, this particular sheet, there's several in it. There's like 3 different ones. There's a size right there, 3 different sizes. I used the thickest one on that truck I just showed, and I used the thickest ones, and I placed in between the wood, in between the popsicle sticks. I used a Sharpie marker to color the strips, only because the Sharpie marker, you know, is easier to work with, because the Molotov pen takes forever to dry. Paint takes forever to dry, so I just use a Sharpie. Alright, so that's what I've done. Now, like I said, you can place them in between. That's what I've done. But on this one, what I'm going to do, because it's so hard to make sure every piece is nice and straight. What I'm going to do is use these already pre-cut strips, and I know what you're thinking, these are mighty thin. I do agree, but this is a custom truck, so I'm just gonna go with it. If you're gonna do these strips, I would probably go up a couple sizes. This is what I'm using there. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm not gonna put the strips in between the wood. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this strip for example. I'm gonna lay them right on top of the wood. Once all this is glued together and stained and everything, I'm gonna place them right on top, in between. Not like in between the wood, like this. Not in between, but on top, like this. All right. That's what I'm going to do this one. Alright, so staining the wood. You could use my solution here. I made a video on my rust solution. It worked very well. I've used it on wood before. So yeah, if you need rust solution or some kind of wash to use, check out the description below. I'll go ahead and link that down there as well. My homemade stuff works very good on a lot of things. On my last truck, I also used watercolor markers, and I used like a red, different types, different shades of red, different shades of brown, and then I kind of soaked them in water a bit and let them dry it out, and then I just went back and forth until I got the color I wanted. Or you can use actual real wood stain, which is very time consuming because it's oil based. You gotta let it air dry and everything, and you know, glue and things won't stick, so you gotta be careful with that. With this one here, I'll probably use my rust solution and markers as well, and then again the Sharpie for the styrene strips, and lay them on top. Now, this is very important. Very, very important. I just started this truck. I went straight to the bed assembly. I got all the parts right here. I marked the parts, that way I knew what parts everything was, because there's so many parts. Most truck kits, there's not so many parts, so that's why I marked everything on the numbers here. All right, so this is very important. Go straight, if you're gonna do this, go straight to the bed. All right, and get all the parts. Use some white glue, Elmer's glue. That's what I done. Kind of piece it together, and when you get to this part here, the actual bottom part, see this one here has the actual bottom part that goes in there, this piece. You're gonna measure everything out. So measure your wood out. I've already measured these out. I've already sanded these down. You want these nice and clean and crisp. You don't want any gaps between the wood. Once you piece these together, you want it nice and clean and crisp. Even though I'm going to place the strips on top to hide any cracks anyway. Now, with this, the Ford Foose, all that was together, and I had to take a knife and cut this part out. But it was actually much easier because there wasn't so many parts. The Ford Foose, I just slid it up under, which I explained all that in that video. Anyway, this one here, what I'm going to do is, because how it goes in, you see those on the side of the bed, those notches? Well, this piece goes in there. So what I'm going to do for this particular one is, once I get to the point to where this is done, glued together and everything, I'm going to place it on top of here. Now I'm going to have this a hair smaller than this, because I don't want the wood scraping up against everything once this is nice and painted and shiny and everything. And then I'm going to just slide it in there and it'll be done. Now, how I done mine and how I advise you to do yours, again, go straight to your instructions, get very familiar with it, piece everything together with some white glue. That way when it comes to the point to putting this in, you know how everything's going to fit. Pre-fit everything with this, pre-cut everything, get everything nice and ready. Once everything fits in, you're happy, then take this, put in some water, clean it up, sand it down, go about your business. That way everything is white glue, it's Elmer's glue, so it's not going to harm it. Now when you come to this is the top side. This is what I want to show with the knots in the wood and everything. You're going to flip all this over, okay? Flip your pieces over and take your styrene strips and fit them into place, cut all of them, set them to the side. Alright, so set all your strips to the side and then stain all your pieces. Now once they're all done, dry, perfectly ready to put together again, then you're going to piece them all back together, glue them in place from the underside. You don't want the glue on the top side. Go on the underside, flip it over. Let's say this is the underside, so put it all together, square it up nice and neat, and put a dab of glue, super glue, Elmer's glue, whatever you put down. What I've done on my Ford Foose, I cut a piece going across this way, put one there and one there, glued it down. I set something on top on a flat surface. I got glass up under here. You want it to be nice and flat. Take some clamps if you have to. Clamp it down, make sure it's not going to move. Make sure that it's nice and flat. You don't want this to have any bulges in it. Now once it's completely dry, then it's time to get your strips. Take your strips and go on place them on there, on the top side. This part's going to be tricky. Place them on the top side, flip it over, and just tack them on the edges with some glue. Now, if you use super glue, you can use super glue, and if you're extra careful, it won't show from the bottom side. If you use Elmer's glue, it won't really stick. So just be careful on your glue. I like to use super glue. Just a whisper of glue on each side. Clamp them down. Once it dries, then take your knife, slice it, make sure everything is nice and clean. Then you're going to flip it back over, place it on your piece if you have a piece like this. Once all this is painted up and ready to go, then you just got to slide it into place. Now, not all kits are the same. Like the Ford Foose, I had to actually cut this part out. I didn't even use this part. This piece was sturdy enough, I just used this straight in. So remember, before you even get to this, go straight to your instructions, get familiar with it, piece it together, see how everything fits. Take your wood, cut it down, stain it, glue it, put your strips, clamp it down, let it dry, cut it on the edges, place it down, and slide it in once it's done. I hope this helped you guys out. Again, if it did, please drop a like down below. Now, with this one here being my first attempt, you can see what I'm talking about, how the strips here are in between the wood. I think it'll be a little bit cleaner this time around using the strips and placing on top of the wood. I know there's many other steps out there, but that's just how I'm doing mine. You can see how the different tones, how I done mine. I went back and forth until I was ready for it. Now, once I had it all in place and everything was completely done, the whole truck was 100% done, then I got my good old stuff right here, my future, and I put about 3 heavy coats on that to make it have a nice shine to it. That's pretty much it. Remember, first thing first, get your parts, make sure everything will work. All your trucks are going to be different. Choose your wood, choose your stain, choose your strips, and just go with it. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you all next time.